Ape shall never kill ape.
Dude, you fucked it up. Oh my god, nerd fail! Nerd fail!
What is it? Ape never kill ape?
No.
Ape must not kill ape?
Yes! Ape shall not kill ape.
That's what I just said.
You said ape will never kill ape. There is no never. No two-syllable words. Damn it.
It's the same fucking thing. Hi, this is Ren, and
This is KC.
and this is All Walks of Film.
Apes. All walks of apes.
So, we just got done watching Rise of the Planet of the...
More like rewatching.
Yeah, so we just got done watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and it still holds up. It is still a fantastic film. We're doing this in preparation of War of the Planet.
War!
Yeah,
I am so fucking psyched. Can you tell? Can you fucking tell? I'm psyched. Ow. Ow. I'm a little too psyched. Ow.
What did you do?
I was beating my chest and then I hurt myself. Ow.
Okay.
I'm that pumped.
Yeah,
Fuck
so
yes.
I'm really pumped too.
I haven't seen any trailer. I literally run out of the theater every time I see that the trailer is about to come on. I've literally only seen 3 posters. And
Yeah.
all of the posters are amazing. Like this last poster where it's like there's a 3-point perspective where there's the foreground, middle ground, and background. And obviously, like, it's Caesar on horseback with the little girl in the middle ground. But then the foreground and background are, like, the 2 separate armies. And the background is the gorillas on the ground. And then the apes, like, on these big pirate ships. And they're all archers. And then the foreground is the humans and the chimps. But the chimps all have shit written on their back, like donkey. And the humans all have shit on their helmets, like, the only good ape is a dead ape, and, like, ape with a circle around it, but they're working together, so, like, oh my god. This new movie is gonna be so fucked up. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good! Sorry.
So, yeah, we're really pumped. And it's always good when a new movie is coming out that's part of a franchise to, like, watch the films in the franchise. Mm-hmm. So we recorded something, like, way earlier, and we've learned a little bit about podcasting. I still am going to put it out as something to listen to, but this is a much more refined thing. We've been podcasting for a while, so forgive us our transgressions with our last podcast. Yes, we did go off into tangents. We talked over each other. It's something we're learning to not do.
Yeah, but the podcast was pretty much about the actual original franchises. And as I like to say, Planet of the Apes is a perfect franchise. You had the original 5 movies, with the 4th one with its original actual ending, and then you had the 2 new movies. And that's it! It's perfect! It's perfect, you guys. Except for that 3rd movie. We don't talk about Grape Juice Plus.
Dude, Grape Juice Plus is fine.
It's... there's a shopping montage. Shopping montages is for hacks like Wonder Woman. Like, no. Not into that 3rd movie. I don't know why the 5th movie gets so much shit when we have the 3rd movie to look at. But then the ending totally makes up for the entire movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes is very much in the same vein as Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. You have a prison break in the movie. Now, in Conquest, it's a lot more literal about everything, where, like, the metaphors are so thinly veiled that you can obviously see the parallels. Yes, they're talking about slavery. Yes, they're talking about the subservitude of black people. And for the longest time, Planet of the Apes was about race relations. Now, that in and of itself is kind of problematic because...
Well, especially considering the specific stereotypes that he was playing on, especially in the original movie.
It's one of those things that I am really happy that the new series has kind of moved past. Whereas I do think that there should still be some allusions. The literalism is one of those things that when you watch the older films, it does get awkward at some points.
I mean, definitely, but there's a reason why it's good to take art and leave it in its little time capsule and not change it.
Oh, I think the films are fantastic.
No, it's fantastic, but you have to be able to look at things and see its problems and see its flaws in order to learn how to move past it and how to progress further. If we don't have these sort of, capsules where it's like, hey, look at how we socially, and not we as like all of humanity or anything, but these were social attitudes towards issues that we still have, but we have to learn how to move past these sort of ways of looking at things. But if we don't have these historical reminders of the way that we held attitudes, then we don't learn how to move past that. We just keep going over and over and over.
And the first movie came out the same decade as the Civil Rights Movement. So
Right.
For its time, it's incredibly progressive. It's incredibly respectful of that era. Now, we might make some nitpicks now.
Well, it's not even nitpicks, but it is important to see that what was even progressive at that time is not progressive enough. I think that's what's important, is to see that it was going the right direction, but not enough. And that we need to move past that.
Yeah, so with this new series, the first film was directed by Rupert Sanders. He moved past that and talked about human and animal relations. Much of this was inspired by the story of Nim, which, if you're interested in the reality and the plausibility of this situation, I strongly urge you to watch the documentary Project Nim. You might be thinking to yourself, that sounds a lot like The Secret of Nim. Yes, The Secret of Nim and Project Nim are interrelated because it was animal experiments that were done. And this was sort of an animal experiment that was trying to understand what it would be like if an ape were raised as a human. Mm-hmm. I think the first problem that they ran into was that they chose a male ape, which, to just talk about animals and to talk about apes and how their societies work, male apes are incredibly aggressive. I think it would have been smarter to choose a female ape, like we have with Coco, the gorilla, who, if you haven't seen videos of Coco, like, oh my god,
you need to watch Coco watching a sad movie.
Oh, it's so endearing.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm not crying. It's just been raining on my face.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a lot of Coco videos, and I'll put some links below because you gotta see. And at the Indianapolis Zoo, I'm from Indianapolis, so I'm like really excited. There was a case in December where an orangutan imitated human speech.
What?
Yes, it did happen.
What the fuck? What?
You didn't? Okay. We'll have to...
What do you mean imitated?
Imitate.
Like Caesar did? Like...
Yeah.
What the fuck? What?
Yeah.
Shit, that's awesome.
But it's because they have, like, constant exposure now.
Well, yeah, but like, oh my god. Oh! The Maurice fangirl in me is so excited that it was orangutans before anyone else. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, is that speciest of me?
That is one thing that I hope that the series gets into, and because I haven't seen any of the trailers for this new film. But like I said,
look at this new poster. I really think that's where this new movie is heading towards.
Well,
because you see visually the lines between the species. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that that's what this new movie is going to be about. But that, if this is something that they talk about in the trailer, and you're like, oh, I didn't watch literally any trailer. I don't know.
Yeah, and we're getting an exclusive sneak peek on it. Obviously, we won't release the review until it's
actually in theaters, because that would be fucked up. No.
Yeah, we're not going to do that, but we're definitely not going to look at any of the comments until after we've seen the movie, because we don't want you to talk about the trailer and read it, essentially. So, yeah, so you'll just have to wait until after Monday for us to respond to like any comments that you have.
Okay.
So, getting on to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I remember watching the trailer to this movie and thinking that it was going to suck. Mainly, I was kind of interested in it, but not like incredibly, because the Tim Burton one...
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, you don't... It doesn't exist in your world.
What doesn't exist? What are you talking about?
Unfortunately, it was the first Planet of the Apes film that I saw.
What? Oh, God. Poor Ren.
I know.
Poor Ren.
But I worked at the movie theater. No, this was before I worked at the movie theater. Fuck. All right, so... But it was at the movie theater that I was working
in Tim Burton's defense, I have to explain that about this movie. Two things. One, Tim Burton was like pretty much the last person brought on this project. I think he was like the 10th director brought on, and he was brought on by the time they had already started filming. So calling it like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes and blaming him for everything isn't really okay by me, because like Tim Burton's done a lot of stupid shit. This one movie in particular didn't happen to be his stupid shit. Although all of the stuff he said afterwards was his stupid shit, where people were like, oh, the ending is like the comics, and he's like, I don't even read comics. Bullshit. That's just okay. But here's the other thing. As much as I'm like, it doesn't exist because perfect franchise. Apparently, the producers of Rise were so inspired by the fucked up Planet of the Apes, basically because of how fucked up it was, that they had been working almost essentially since that movie came out in theaters on Rise. So if it wasn't for that piece of shit, we wouldn't have this super exciting, awesome new installment. So...
And I gotta say that this new franchise that's built up and seems, at least at this point, to be within the same timeline as the original series.
No, it 100% is. Because in Rise, one of the storylines that's told through newspaper headlines is the Icarus is flying to Mars, and then it gets lost in space and nobody knows where it is.
But we don't know if they're going to continue the series on and then remake the original. And
I don't think so. I mean, that's just my stab in the dark. I have no proof of that. But
honestly, how good these movies are, I wouldn't care. I'd totally buy it.
I agree, but the other reason why I think that they might not remake it is because there is so much history between Rise and between the actual Planet of the Apes. Like, there are so many generations of ape to go through, and more importantly, geographically there is so far to go, because they start in San Francisco and somehow end up in New York generations later. It's gonna take a while to fucking get there.
We stayed in San Francisco in Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see us getting to New York anytime soon, so...
Now, I will say that I saw a promo image. I don't know if it was for War of the Planet of the Apes or if it was something abandoned. I know that it was originally like a teaser at the end that they were planning on doing that had Caesar inside of the Statue of Liberty.
I mean, that just seems kind of like a cute piece of art sort of a thing. I mean, there are definitely a lot of Easter eggs in Rise that sort of allude to that. Like, the one everybody knows is he's playing with a little puzzle model of the Statue of Liberty, but actually there's a deleted scene where he's solving puzzles, really complex 500-piece puzzles. And one of the puzzles is a man and a woman on horseback riding on a beach towards a hill. And one of the puzzles is of the, it's like in a bird's eye shot of New York. So, I mean, like, and I feel really bad for the production designer that scene got cut, because bedrooms are really fun to do, but I'm actually pretty sure that at least the beach puzzle was actually specialty made.
At least we got a deleted scene of it.
Yeah,
like, sometimes even
really
you don't get that.
That's true, and the deleted scene's really good. Like, that's one I really wish they had kept, because it's a very simple scene that tells you a lot about Caesar. Like, yes, he can put together puzzles, but, like, he can also engineer and create objects that he's seen if he doesn't know what they are.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the film, you see Bright Eyes get captured, and then she later is fighting to protect Caesar.
Her baby.
And I love that inclusion of the name, because that was the name given to Taylor in the original Planet of the Apes. Yes, this is very much a love letter to the original series.
Yeah, I mean, you see that a lot with the names. Like, of course, you see Maurice, but you also see, like, Cornelia as a form of Cornelius. You see Rocket, you see Buck. I mean, there's a lot of names that will keep popping up, you know?
And there are a lot of scenes and lines where the roles are flipped, where the humans are saying the lines that the apes are saying, and the apes are saying the lines that the humans are saying.
Right, like a Buck was originally a prison guard, now he's in a prison, that kind of a thing. Yeah. Which I like it when movies do that. I know that the remake of the Wrath of Khan Star Trek movie was really disliked by a lot of people, and I don't blame them. A lot of things really didn't work. But a lot of what I did like about the movie was the role reversals.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the best way to do a quote-unquote remake, is you really got to change it up and do something different with it. And you got to, like, play with a lot of the dynamics that you expect, but that don't come into fruition, and it turns into something else.
Yeah, what I really like about Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the fact that this movie very much is its own movie. At the time, they didn't know if they were going to make sequels. And the great thing about it is it's a self-contained story. If they didn't make a sequel, you could just add this to Planet of the Apes and it would work. It still fits. But what I like is the fact that it doesn't feel like a retread. And none of the films so far feel like a retread of what's seen before, even though the story is very similar to Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. In many ways, it isn't.
Yeah, there's not, like, anything that you see and you're like, oh, psh, I saw that in, like, the other 5 movies. Right.
One of the things that I really loved about this film was how much of this film has no dialogue. Has
extraordinarily simplistic dialogue, or that just relies on body language. Those are really the best scenes.
The introduction of sign language, which obviously was influenced by Coco, I thought was absolutely brilliant. The conversations that Maurice has with Caesar, it's so beautiful.
Ape's stupid. Don't sit there on the other end of this computer and tell me you don't think that about humans all the fucking time. Don't tell me you just, like, look at humanity and you've never thought, humans stupid.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about the Planet of the Apes series, because, like, even by the end of the original Planet of the Apes movies, are you really on the human side? No.
Yeah, that's true, but also, one of the things about the Planet of the Apes overall that I really like is that a lot of stories where we try to talk about disenfranchisement and inequality using some sort of allegory, we mostly rely on the oppressed being better than humans. So, like, they're robots, they're androids, they're mutants. Like, objectively, they're just fucking better. Like, to the point where it's stupid that they're not on the top of the food chain. Whereas with Planet of the Apes, you know, yes, humans have evolved from apes in a very overly, grossly simplified way, but more importantly, we're related to apes. You know, this movie is sort of about bringing that sense of equality among relatives. Not people who are identical, not people who are totally the same. It's not like the chimps and the gorillas and the orangutans are all the same, but they're all equals, and humanity needs to learn to accept them as humans, as humanity's equal as well.
But don't you know that apes evolved from humans?
That is not what these prequels are hinting at all.
But that's what the ape society told their
No, I know.
people. Yeah.
No, because hierarchies are never going to go away.
Right. That's one of the interesting things about the original series, because you can see that the orangutans are at the top of the food chain. Then you have the gorillas who enforce everything, and the chimps are at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Which is really interesting because it's pretty much been known throughout the Planet of the Apes series that the chimp is who started this revolution.
Well, and that's also what's really interesting about Conquest, too, is because by the time that comes around, chimps have been at the bottom, and that revolution is still started yet again by a chimp.
Yeah.
Not the most intelligent, not the most brutal, but the underdog, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like about this film is the fact that Caesar, because he was raised by humans, he has this sympathy for humans, and that's seen later in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but he's very careful not
Caesar loved human more than ape.
Yeah, but he's very careful not to kill human beings. In fact, when he kills Draco Malfoy, which I forget his character's name in the movie.
It doesn't. We all know he's Draco. Like,
Yeah, but
Charleston Heston baby.
Yeah, with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. Yeah,
the blonde hair, the blue eyes. Damn dirty ape. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's petite Charleston Heston.
But one of the things that I love is the scene where he kills him
by accident. Yeah, because he didn't know that water is a conduit for electricity. He had no way of knowing that.
And you can see his regret when it happens, even though this guy was an asshole. He's not that type of ape. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a level of empathy that he has, even though the species are different.
Yeah, and that comes not only from being raised with humans, but also from seeing the oppression of apes and not wishing that on anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting concept that you bring up, because so often certain peoples will get angry about a situation and they just want to flip the roles. And I think that this series is being very careful at trying to think of another option, because essentially the Planet of the Apes series is about essentially that. Flipping the roles. You know, the humans are the ones in cages and the apes are free, capturing the humans. But what we see in this is something much more complex.
Right, and I think so much of that is really rooted in the acting. Like, can we just break and just talk about how fucking amazing... I mean, James Franco aside, I really wish we could have casted, like, literally anyone but James Franco. Not that he was terrible, just that he was so... I'm here doing the part. And I think he was really trying, but, like, he doesn't have the range. But when you see scenes like... When you see Caesar and John Lithgow, oh my god. No words, just, you know. There's chopped onions in the kitchen over there. I'm not crying. Oh god, that scene where Lisco is starting to lose his faculties again, and he's cutting his eggs with the handle of his fork, and Caesar just reaches out and touches his hand and flips it for him. And that just, like, prolonged moment of sadness and understanding that they have.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful moment. And I really love the fact that this is such a small, personal film. Even though the main character is an ape.
Well, that's one of the things I love, is that this franchise is not afraid to make the protagonist not the humans. Because what's the complaint about every franchise where, you know, the franchise is about something that's not a human, but we are all only stuck with the humans? We want to see, like, what has everyone been saying since the first movie? Transformers needs to be about Transformers. Planet of the Apes needs to be about the apes, and that's what they're doing, and they're running with it, and it's perfect. It's apes with humans, but it's still apes first.
Yeah, I'll get more into this in our Dawn episode, but there was an experience that I had watching Dawn where I literally got teary-eyed in the movie because I was like, holy shit, they're spending so much time on the apes. And I'm not used to watching that in movies. I'm used to... Anytime you have a movie with aliens or like anything, it's like, oh, when can we get back to the humans? It was one of the things that I know everybody gives this movie shit, but it's one of the things that I really liked about the movie Avatar, because that was like one of the first films that I saw.
But that still wasn't about the avatars. Or it was about the one avatar, but it wasn't about the Na'vi.
Right, but when they spent so much time with the Na'vi world, and I like that. Mm-hmm. That, you know, it was not like you weren't seeing humans on screen all the time in that movie. I know. I know. Everybody gives that movie shit. I personally like it. Maybe I need to watch it again. I watched it twice in the theaters, and I
own it. You can watch it anytime. And yes, I own it because the making of featurettes are fucking amazing, and nobody's gonna take those away from me, even though I don't like the movie.
I still have faith in the sequels, because if there's one...
If we ever get them! And then it's gonna be just like years and years of waiting, and then we're gonna get 5 of them in a row because James Cameron is working on all of them at the same time, like an idiot. Why?
Okay, so Terminator, the first Terminator came out in 1980.
But did he work on Terminators 2, 3, and 4 all at the same time?
No, he didn't even work on 3 or 4 or any of the other fucking ones.
That was a rhetorical question.
Sorry, 1984 is when the Terminator came out.
But that was a rhetorical question.
And so he spent like 6 years working on Terminator 2, which was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, but he was only working on Terminator 2.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The reason why I have hope in that... Sorry, we're getting into a tangent. The reason why I have hope in the James Cameron Avatar sequels is the fact that has James Cameron made a bad sequel? No, he hasn't. Yet. I think Avatar 2 is going to be amazing. I can't say that much for the other films in the series.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but getting back on track. The other reason why it works to have the apes be the main character is because of the amazing amount of acting that goes into the apes. And I know a lot of people are like, visuals. Okay, first of all, the visuals blew Avatar out of the water. Avatar was revolutionary for their advancements in mocap, but Planet of the Apes immediately just blew Avatar away by a long shot. And here's the other really interesting thing about Rise. You know why some of the visual effects on the DVD of Rise don't work as well as you might expect?
Why?
Because what a lot of CGI had a big problem with for most of the time that CGI has been around, and still does to this day, Wonder Woman, is because the CGI doesn't look like it's a part of the real world. It looks too simplistic, it has the wrong light sources, it doesn't fit the same physics as everything around it.
Right.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes has a very different problem. The light sources are alright, the shading is alright, the way that everybody interacts, since it is mocap, works on the exact same physical plane. The reason why it looks weird is because it's more realistic and detailed than the real world. When you see Caesar and Will, James Franco, in like bright, harsh lighting together, the light source is right, the shadow's right, they're clearly right next to each other, but James Franco looks more simplistic and less detailed than Caesar does. Caesar, you can see literally every hair, you can see all the wrinkles in his face, you can almost make out like his pores. There's so much detail there that the human eye on its own doesn't see. And Dawn really rectified a lot of that. But that's incredible that was one of those few movies that literally is more realistic than real life.
And that's interesting that you bring it up, because we're getting to a point where film and film quality is getting better than the human eye can see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we're talking about 4K, 8K, 24K.
It wasn't even just that. Even some of the Blu-ray releases were phenomenal. I saw a scene. I just saw like a quick clip of Prince Caspian on Blu-ray on a 50-inch screen TV, HD TV, and I was stunned. I couldn't understand how, there's a man standing there. It's just like a normal dude, and I'm like, I can count the threads in his shirt.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy with visual effects and everything like that, which also means that it's getting more challenging for CGI artists and special effects artists to create this uncanny valley.
Right, because Weta does model every individual hair and every pore and every fold in the skin and every expression. But it's all based on real human work, which is what really sells it. And then you have all of these phenomenal actors, especially, of course, Andy Serkis and Toby Kebbell, who are just so, all of them, even the woman who acted as Maurice, they're so incredible to not only just get like basic mannerisms, but to really be able to impersonate apes on the fly, to really know how the face works and the right expressions and how to emote and how to work with a tiny camera in front of your face and not lose your eye line, and to really hold that same physical presence. Like, I know the actress who plays Maurice said that she actually has 2 orangutan friends on the West Coast in 2 separate zoos that she just goes and hangs out with all the time, and that's how she learned how to play Maurice. It's just phenomenal, the amount of really incredible, I don't even know how to say it. It's just so convincing. It's so convincing. Where even when you see like, the silly footage of them in their gray footsie pajamas and spots in their face, you can't look at Andy Serkis' performance and tell me that you don't see an ape right there, even without the rendering.
So I was actually wrong about what I defined as the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley is like the revulsion that some people experience when they see something that doesn't look quite right.
Right.
I was talking about realism, not the uncanny valley.
Right.
I got those mixed up. I just wanted to make that clarification because, yeah.
Yeah, so with Rise, I really think thematically it all ties together really well. I think canon-wise, it just fits right in with the original franchise. It has all of these beautiful illusions. The acting except for James Franco, across the board is really phenomenal.
I think James Franco is fine. He's
no, but that's the thing.
serviceable.
He's serviceable, and that's it. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm just saying he's not up to the level of a lot of people in this movie. I think that the visuals and the motifs are all phenomenal, and this movie is far more emotional than Dawn. Dawn is clearly a better movie, but doesn't. No. Dawn is clearly a better movie than Rise. But for me, I like Rise more because Rise really reaches these emotional heights that Dawn doesn't quite get to. But we have to come around to the downside. Okay. The whole storyline of the Ape Revolution works really well. The whole storyline of Caesar growing up with the humans works fantastically. The dementia Alzheimer's storyline works really, really well. The whole being kept in captivity storyline, fantastic. The apes working together, super awesome. The prison break, amazing. The, action set piece on the bridge is just so good. And then the ending is so inspirational and beautiful and just awesome. But before you get to all of that, you have to wade through the bullshit in the lab. That makes no goddamn sense, and the plot lines don't go anywhere. And pretty much every time we go away and do something awesome, we come back to the lab, it's still stupid.
Dumb
Now,
scientists,
why?
dumb corporations.
Dumb corporations. Why do we have that?
I'm a little bit more forgiving to dumb corporate heads than I am dumb scientists.
Well, because corporate heads are dumb.
Yeah.
If it was the dumb corporations butting heads with the intelligent science community, that would be perfect. It would play in thematically. It would make the whole sci-fi avian flu thing work a lot better and be just a more comprehensible storyline, but it's not. Scientists are dumb. Science is dumb. Why?
So I actually did hear from the screenwriters about this, and originally there was a much more sound scientific explanation for everything at the beginning.
Okay.
They had to dumb it down for 2 reasons, which is unfortunate. I hate when they do this.
No.
They had to dumb it down for 2 reasons, and those 2 reasons were time
Yeah.
and alienating the audience, which
No.
I know Contagion hadn't come out at the time.
But also it's like, okay, so you have a storyline where we've established that the studio is okay with the idea of humans relating to apes who are planning to overthrow the humans. That's okay. But the humans still need to be stupid so audiences can relate to them? What?
Oh, I didn't really relate to the humans in this movie.
Nobody
I related
relates to the humans
to
in
the
this
humans
movie.
more in Dawn than I did with this movie. And I got a
Well-
feeling that will be the same with War as well.
Maybe with the War, but with Dawn, like, nobody got me like John Lithgow.
I don't know, when you saw that guy with the yuck face when they played the music in the gas station, like, come on. That scene tugs at the heartstrings a little bit.
No, I'm not saying that there's, like, no good moments. I'm just saying. Anyway. But John Lithgow wasn't stupid. He had Alzheimer's. That's totally different. Why would there be a scientist in a room with a gas without a gas mask on? He's just sitting there in the corner holding a gas mask in his hand. Oh, whoopsie daisy, there's a leak. Oh, I gotta put it on. Oh no, I'm sick. I'm gonna go to my buddy. I don't have text. I don't have email. I can't go see a doctor. Oh, now I'm dead. Whoops.
Yeah, I remember I had a teacher give me shit for that in the film that I made.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, why don't the scientists have masks and all that kind of stuff? And I was just like, they're just kind of like bullshitting in the lab. Like, there's no like air thing or anything like that.
Well,
they're
also,
just...
aren't they studying life under microscopes?
Yeah.
And they don't know that the life is breeding there anyway, so there's at least, like, ignorance in that equation.
Right,
It's not
yeah,
like,
and
it's not like,
and they're lower level people as well.
right, it's not like Arnie the scientist. I don't know what his name is in the movie. I just call him Arnie because he reminds me of Arnie from Masters of None. Arnie the scientist didn't just like walk into the room and be like, "Oh, hey guys, what's up in this quarantine area? Oh, gas! I should put on a gas mask." Like, that would at least even be more intelligent than what they actually did.
Yeah, but I mean, I took that criticism, and you know, I'm gonna be a lot more careful about that with films going on. Like, I don't want to have stupid, naive people unless like that's a point to their character.
Mm-hmm. But then also, like, the entire way that they worked on conducting the study made no sense.
Yeah, also they were like rushing things to a point where it was unrealistic. It was like, oh yeah, we don't want to do this. And then like after like just having a brief conversation, just walking, you know, because like business people, they don't make decisions when they talk to people.
Well, it would make sense if it was like the corporate head trying to rush things along and the scientists be like, no, we need to have more time. But under that pressure, that would make sense. That would work in the dynamic, but that's not what happened. The scientists are rushing. The scientists aren't taking their time. Like, James Franco, the scientist, is like, oh, this worked on one ape. It's done. We've got it. We got it. That's it. That's all we gotta do.
We're not gonna test on
humans.
other apes and all this kind of stuff. Yeah,
totally safe and fine for humans. Here, I'll prove it to you. I'll put it on my dad. Totally safe and fine for humans. It worked on one ape. See, there you go. Clearly, it's gonna work on.
Well,
humans.
it worked on one ape, and then he said it worked on his father, and he was like, "Well,
but
why
I'm
did
saying
you do
like
that?
it only worked on one ape, and then he's like, oh, it's good enough to give to my family.
Well, I mean, we saw later that it worked on Koba.
But that was so much later, and that was also the new strain that led to the avian flu anyway. And then when it worked on Koba, then the corporate manager was like, okay, see, clearly it's good. But at least by the time it was with Koba, we already had Bright Eyes, John Lithgow, and Caesar, and Koba. So that was at least, like, 4 test subjects is still not enough. Let's not even kid. But that was 3 more than James Franco had. The scientist... anyway, yeah. That doesn't bother me too much, mostly because a lot of those scenes are mercifully short. And
also the fact that he was able to steal lab equipment and not have to go through security or anything like that. That's, I mean, it's not as egregious as Chappie, where it's like, do they have any security in these labs?
Right, and then even when we come back to the lab after the fact and all of the apes are attacking the lab, it's like all the apes were patient enough to stake out that little area in the lab and go after this one guy. But then they all turned around and jumped out of windows, and then the guy, Jacobs, is still there later. And there's a deleted scene that kind of explains it, but like in the context of the movie without the deleted scene, that scene makes no fucking sense. And why is it there?
Also, like, the question of like where Caesar would know to go, given the fact
was answered. No. Because Caesar went with James Franco in the car, and he was like, hey, that's where you were born. That's where your mother was.
He said that, but, like, knowing where the labs are and all that kind of stuff, it's like, okay. I mean, like, I get that we're cutting time short and we're adjusting things, but they seem to know exactly where they were going.
It's hard to tell.
And Caesar was never in the lab consciously.
Yes, but one of the things that we don't know is when they do the prison break and they're on top of a hill, we don't know. Maybe he can see it.
Okay,
he might be able to see the lab from
there. That's a stretch.
It's a stretch, but we don't know.
I doubt apes can see that far, though.
Well, we don't know how close the two facilities are to each other. They could be really close together.
Yeah, but like the windows and all that.
But Caesar snuck out of the top window and was like sitting on the roof looking down the hill at the city. It's possible that he saw that and he recognized
that.
It's
It's a stretch.
It's not impossible. It's not more of a stretch than that scene in the lab with the apes attacking Jacobs.
Okay, yeah.
It's not more of a stretch than a scientist without a gas mask on. Just
Yeah.
the one.
But outside of the nitpicks, we absolutely love this film. Don't let our little thing talking about like, oh well, dumb
It actually
scientists
took
and all
me
that
a
kind of
while to
stuff.
realize what people were talking about when they were talking about, oh, but the plot holes. I was like, what plot holes? Because I don't look back on Rise and remember a lot of the stuff in the lab. I remember everything else because there's not a lot of emotional stuff in the lab.
Right.
There's Koba, and there's Bright Eyes, but other than that, like, a lot of stuff doesn't stick with me the way the rest of the film does. Usually when I think about the film, I think about, like, the scene on the bridge. I think about a lot of the, like, you know, Caesar's home. I think about, like, the scene with the fork. Him in captivity where he closes the door. And the part where he says no. Oh, the movie has too many good moments for that shit to be like a factor. I'm sorry. That stuff is like 10% of the movie, and the rest of the movie is fucking awesome. Like, nah.
Yeah, but the thing that I will say is, fortunately, those scenes are short. So, and the movie itself feels relatively short.
Yeah, the movie's a little too quick-paced. I think just a little bit. Everything just kind of seems to go. Movie's over. You know, but I mean, that's such a minor thing that they really, really got down perfect in Dawn. So yeah. I give it like 4.95 out of 5. And then I give it an extra star for the feels.
Yeah, it's an amazing film. I love this film a lot. This was the film that got me into the Planet of the Apes series. Like, I had seen the original before, but I hadn't seen any of the other Planet of the Apes films. And then when I saw the little documentary talking about, like, oh, well, there's this great series and stuff, I was like, okay. Then I went on eBay and I bought this awesome, like, Icarus collector's pack with all the Planet of the Apes movies. And I watched them all within, like, 1 week.
Yep.
And I was watching, like, you know, I started with Rise. I watched Rise again, and then I watched Planet of the Apes, and then the next day I watched Beneath. Actually, I think I watched like 2 a day. Yeah. I was just like so
It's
hooked.
so good.
Yeah.
Well, even after watching Rise this time, you're like, so Dawn now?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we are preparing for War of the Planet of the Apes, and if War of the Planet of the Apes is as good or better than these films,
Dude. I think it's going to be better. Just based off of this poster, I think it's going to be better.
This might be one of the best trilogies, if not the best, because oftentimes in trilogies, there's a dip. And there hasn't been a dip.
Well, there's only been 2.
I know, but oftentimes 2 is the dip.
But didn't you watch X-Men Apocalypse? Don't you know third one's always the worst? Oh, burn.
Toy Story 3?
No, it was a joke about X-Men 3.
Yeah.
Can I have my joke about X-Men 3, please? No,
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 was clearly the worst of the 3.
Yeah.
I like the Toy Barn stuff, but everything with, like, the Western toys was just...
I mean, I like the whole story about Jesse and stuff, but that's not the whole movie. That is, like, one cute, emotional scene.
Yeah.
Which clearly is Andy's mom. But...
Oh, yeah, because... Yeah, no, definitely. Andy's mom totally had a Jessie Cowgirl toy.
Yeah, and also the fact that
Andy
wears the hat
Jessie
of
hat
Jessie.
and not the Woody hat, for sure. No, 100% confirmed. Myth approved. I don't know. What do they do when the myth isn't busted?
I don't know.
It seems like they always bust it, even if they make up shit. That totally doesn't make sense.
No, it's just like...
Myth busted and that's it?
I think it's just like it's no longer a myth. I don't know, man. I didn't watch the show religiously like some people did because I didn't have cable.
True. Alrighty, so we're gonna go watch Dawn and come back and do a podcast about that. But let us know what you think about Rise in the description below. Let us know what you thought about our thoughts about it. Let us know what you thought about the original series. Dude, are you excited enough about War to actually physically hurt yourself in anticipation? Because if not, I might have all y'all beat in terms of hardcore fan.
I mean, I know when I was on the ship, I used to hang in the pilot house because there were like these bars that we could hang from, and I used to hang from them, and sometimes I'd like beat my chest and, you know, do the, you know, yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I
Tell us about
definitely...
your ape impersonation stories.
Yeah, definitely. Also, if you would like us to talk about the Planet of the Apes TV series, let us know, because I really want to do it, and I might do it even if nobody wants us to. So yeah, I don't care. I'm in love with this series. This is possibly my favorite franchise.
Oh, it's clearly the best franchise. There's no long-running franchise that's better, more consistently than Planet of the Apes.
Star Trek has a really good track record. There's some dips, but yeah.
Star Trek, the movies, basically fucked up every other movie. And then you got the TV shows where, like...
I mean,
dude,
there were always
Voyager...
shit.
No.
There were always a handful of shit episodes, but like for like the most part, like it was pretty decent.
Dude, in Voyager, Janeway and Q become reptiles and have to mate. That is disgusting.
Well, that's also declared as like one of the worst episodes ever.
Planet of the Apes is not the best franchise. I take it back. Planet of the Apes is very close. The Battlestar Galactica remake franchise is probably the best franchise.
But usually when I talk about franchise, I'm including everything. So we would need to watch the original Battlestar Galactica in order to make a full gauge of it.
I said remake. I'm talking about the TV shows and the movies. That's enough. I'm cheating. I'm a cheater. Sorry.
But at least for me, I know a lot of people think that the films dip after Planet of the Apes, but at least for me, like, this is a franchise that stays pretty consistent and pretty good throughout. Mm-hmm. Granted, they didn't have the budgets that they did with the original series, because back then, sequels weren't viable as far as...
Yeah, I mean, Charleston Heston basically tried to overthrow any possibility of sequels, period.
Yeah, by destroying the fucking Earth in the second movie.
Yep. And that still wasn't enough to keep it down, because it's awesome. And nobody bitches about how, well, Firefly didn't... Well, you do, because you're a heathen. But nobody respectable bitches about, oh, but Firefly in season 1 didn't have enough budget to do stuff like they did in the movie. You know, it all looks like Earth and budget. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, my criticism with Firefly oftentimes goes with the fact that I kind of wish that the show had, and I know this is budget limitations and everything like that, but I kind of wish that the show had created a more unique identity, because oftentimes it literally just felt like the characters were playing dress up when they went to different worlds.
Boo. Boo, Wendy Testaburger. Boo. Let us know what you think below. Thanks for listening.